in here, is it fair to say that is it fair to okay, 85% of the audience think Chazmac Gaming are going to go ahead and take it. I put my prediction there as well. Is it fair to say that Chazmac Gaming is the top card?
To be fair, I don't know if it is. I think Chazmac Gaming, a lot of people believe in them. They were challenged Tribe very closely last month. They were close against Motomamis in month number 1, but nonetheless, they still haven't gotten to that grand finals yet. I think 85% to 15%, it's something you talk about especially, doesn't always reflect the odds of them winning necessarily, but honestly, they haven't gotten a grand finals under their belt. Motomamis do. Little roster change here, at least in terms of a player we saw as well. Solar getting in the mix too, so that's a little unknown as well, but nonetheless, I'm putting my faith in CMG here as well. I think they finally get it right this month. They've been so close. Clearly a good team and a great start to their draft as well.
Well, Meg is just full stop one of the best brawlers in the game, in my opinion right now. Recent change. She's just better. Aggression does hurt her a little bit. And looking at this draft, we've got the big stun out of Buzz, Gray coming out, and Luffy on the Gale. I went very confidently into this composition here, Kenny, but this one's a little outside my comfort zone.
Oh, I've missed the old man, F. Gale is my favorite brawler. I love watching him play. He has not been nearly as strong in recent history. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you, to be honest. Normally, we're here to be analytical and precise. Sure, Gale can do well into Buzz, but I never would have seen this coming. Maybe this is a way of them that they've found to sneakily stop Meg. I really don't know. This is something that's very unknown for me, a little new territory, but this might be a creative way to deal with that.
I like that idea, yeah. So, I mean, Motomamis, it's not banned out. Meg is not banned. And they didn't kind of select it. So you're essentially saying we know you're going to pick the Meg, in my opinion. And so you try to combat that. I think the Gale, some pushback against the mech might be a nice look. But the B will prevent a lot of what Motomamis want to do, I think. So Solar rushes up, grabs the blue star, but immediately trades it away. And that can't be what Motomamis drew up here, as Chazmac have the lead.
Yeah, it's a really interesting composition that they go for. And the past Gale's been great here. Again, it might just be they didn't want that to be picked into Buzz, a solid brawler, but certainly not a meta option here. It's going to be a very different approach, and they do the hard work for them. CMG just line up the shots and just take away Solar and get the blue stars for themselves. So now they're the ones with a 1-star lead here.
All right. Really just taking inventory here. Solar does have that stun available. Watch out, Killer. Inching up on the left-hand side, forcing out the Honey Molasses out of Toast. So won't be able to use that in the mid for a little while at least. Killer slow damage going the other way. A trade out in left lane. Ultimately, since it's a trade, Chazmac still in the lead. Solar goes in and nobody dies until Meg shows up. 7-3, Chazmac Gaming.
Great swing of momentum here for Chazmac Gaming. His Killer's still trying to deal with this left-hand side, but that Honey Molasses pot, so valuable right now, and how RBM's going to be charging up a super of his own with his gadget, trying to get there, and a simple swipe will certainly keep Killer away. Fade owning the right-hand side as well. Luffy with the super in hand, and they're going to have to try and take advantage of that little teleport that Gray can provide. So they're going to need a very big super here. Little prediction there on that right-hand side, and that Tar Barrel is going to do so well at trying to get those stops on Buzz.
I really like that position of the Honey Molasses. I questioned it. Using it in the corner wouldn't allow her to use it towards mid. But Killer going towards the opposition. Big damage as the time ticks down. Killer gets the goal against Toast. But Chazmac still in the lead. Luffy falls, and that should confirm it. Chazmac 14-9 takes game.
It's a big part of Bounty. It's not always about getting kills all the time. It's when you get the kills.
Reset. Blue star on Motomamis. That's what they were trying to do before. And now Chazmac being aggressive. Everyone pushed into the corner and pushed into the cookie jar. Kill one way. Chazmac take the goal and the blue star. Solar rushes in, loses the trade to Fade. RBM's right there. I don't like that play.
Yeah, a bit of a bold move to say the least, and I think even joking on him a little bit. A little jester emote right there as Fade's having some good fun with it. A lot easier to have fun when you have a lead as well here. It's Toast with the super in hand, Fade with the super in hand, RBM with plenty to work with, and now a penny turret on the ground. Even worse now looking for Motomamis as they're trying to creep up this map, but the giant monster truck just fearless right now as they control the mid.
Troublesome. Yeah. How do you deal with that long-range mech? Nobody in a blue jersey is allowed to step up in this mid lane whatsoever. Luffy, yeah, I feel you, man. What is Greg supposed to do here? Trying to walk up and just has to TP away to survive. 40 seconds on the clock here, Kenny. 6-1.
I think it's going to be really tough for him, too. I mean, you got some huge heavy hitters. Solar
big play
of its own, though, putting in some work right now. There's one kill. He's looking for a second. Finally going down. Now 4-9. Still 5 stars as Killer gets a stun. Looking for the takedown on Toast. Doesn't quite get there. It's going to come down to the wire and a countdown here for Motomamis.
Real rough, as that was one of the better plays Motomamis have made all set, and yet they still trail by 5. 10 seconds on the clock. Have to go now. It's going to be right side diving in. Solar gets it. Still not a lead. There it comes, and there it goes, and there it comes back. 14-12, but at the last second, Chaz rotate and push on into our second set here. We're going to be playing Knockout on Flaring Phoenix. Up next is Gem Grab, and we got Hot Zone and Heist in the wings should we need them. But Knockout definitely, I think, is sort of an equalizer here. Some teams that are a little bit too aggressive wind up playing more passive in Knockout. And on the other side, some teams that are passive wind up playing more aggressive on Knockout. I find that it really shows the other side of your playstyle a little bit more because you feel that pressure in this game mode really heavy.
Yeah, and a quick correction, too. It looks like they are actually going back to Solar here, so it's going to be the exact same 3 brawlers. RT going to be the first overall selection. No surprise at all. He's still a really strong brawler, especially with talking with several pros this weekend, just trying to get a feel for how much worse he is after this nerf. Doesn't seem to be much, to be honest with you. I think pro players are still valuing him very highly, as they should. He's been a force to be reckoned with this weekend.
RT makes it through P's and B's. Meg doesn't. Unsurprised. Option over to Motomamis. And it's going to be Gene. First pick here for the M&Ms. You heard what I have to say about Gene every single time he's got the pull. That's pretty much it. I've got no complaints. And his teammates here. What do you want to see paired up with the Gene in Knockout today?
You know, I think Gene's certainly something that you can pair with a lot of different things, right? Motomamis, if they want to get really aggressive here, go for some area control, they could go with something like Max, which usually sharpshooters will struggle into a little more. It's also an older time Brawl Stars combination. They could try and bring in a thrower of choice. I know we see Tick, Grom, and Sprout banned here, but, you know, still some on the table. These indestructible walls have really allowed for all of these brawlers to start shining. We've even seen Willow in some particular spots where I didn't expect. Knockout would be one that would shock me. And Gray surprises me a little bit. It makes sense. Again, this might just be a brawler that they really like rolling with. The teleport's a really cool feature, but I think the excellent response here from CMG to pull out Colonel Ruffs and the Buster. Again, not my tank of choice necessarily that I've seen on this map, but I certainly see why it could work. The blocking factors, everything that Buster brings to the table, and never upset with a good old Barley.
Barley's a great choice here, especially when you look at the wall situation. Obviously, Chesbeck has a little bit of wall break, but Barley, a nice choice here. Flaring Phoenix, specifically this map, there's a lot of nonsense for a knockout map. I feel like most knockout maps are a little bit more vanilla, but here in Flaring Phoenix, we just see a lot of grass, a lot of walls, breakable and non, even some water here. And so some of the more interesting abilities like Big Gene pull, Little Gray pull, teleport, those are kind of interesting to me here as we jump into our first knockout match of the day.
I think Barley could be really solid here as well. Indestructible walls have certainly helped a lot of these throwers out. He's great for area control compared to some of the other throwers as well. Big pull going down there on this right-hand side as the Rocket Rain touches the ground. Fade pushing it forward as a result. But RBM just going to be able to passively get RT some extra HP, which is a huge threat, especially in those in-game scenarios.
Well, Fade, now a little bit closer to the action where he wants to be. We saw Buster perform poorly earlier on because of being able to be zoned. And, well, Luffy's got some pretty long range. Solar, not a slouch himself. And so Fade really wants to find the opportunity for the super. Can't get in there, as Motomamis are just keeping Fade at bay.
Toast with over 7.
Even this barley work doing good job, but here comes the gas Kenny. Fade's going to be pushing up, and they're looking for an initiation.
Big takedown right there as well, but a return. It's Killer, low HP, trying to throw down the herbal tonic. Can't quite keep himself up. Finally going down. Luffy with a teleport, low HP. Oh! The kills necessary. The fog closing in at a perfect time. Motomamis get bailed out.
Big damage out of Luffy, but also just a little, I want to say poor positioning by Chazmac, but rock in a hard place, right? Either way, shake it off. Time for a new round. Fade still on the right-hand side. Had some trouble here last game, but it looks like Chazmac are just going to wait for that gas to come in, make the map a little smaller, and just give Fade less places to traverse. That's got to make it easy, right?
Yeah, it certainly helps, but now Solar with a pull 2. They're certainly equipping themselves for an even better round number 2, as each side going to be slowly taking their time here at the beginning of these games. I think they're both just trying to set themselves up for the end. Of course, Toast can deploy himself with a Super 2, take the head, and just kind of become that Jackie state of form, which can do so much damage all at once. Obviously, Fade doesn't really need too much more HP to be distributed to him either. Colonel Ruff's just going to be powering up Toast as he's growing closer and closer to 8K. He's going to need all he can get to as this fog closes in.
Here comes Fade, trying to get a grab, won't be able to get it, and so wasted whiff of the super. Fade pushed down as well. Toast gets a kill, but probably just, no, he gets one kill and everybody's stuck.
They timed it pretty well. I think RT had a fighting chance, though, and we actually got to see a little bit of what I think Chasmic Gaming are trying to go for these end games. If you just walk forward with Buster and his super, other than Barley, you can hurl some shots over some walls. Gene, Gray aren't going to be really able to do much, but an early game instigation going down here. RBM needs to be very careful as Gene's looking for those extra shots. They're just going to all hunker down together, take their time, and get a little regroup going here.
Force the Buster out early. You know, if what you're saying is what they're thinking. Gas comes in, Fade goes W. Well, what if there's no Fade? That's a good question to ask, and that's a pull, and there's no Fade. 3-on-2 here for Motomamis.
Beautiful stuff coming in from Solar here. Good to see him finally playing and getting some action in this month. A great roster that they've got and trying to prove themselves once again. Even up the score line as Chasm Gaming took our first set. Continued 3v2 situation. Toast being pushed back. Curious to see if they fight for this or if they just go to the fog. Missed pull here. Solar's not going to have a super for now. Herbal Tonic touching the ground. Teleportation in. Luffy picks up one. Toast goes down. Clean up here for Motomamis, and they take the round.
This is the first one where we didn't see these players get trapped. I mean, you take a look at this. You have the unbreakable wall on the left-hand side and then these yellow barrels with this wall on the right-hand side, and players are just getting stuck in this funnel. They find themselves just nowhere to go. The Motomamis are in trouble because of that, so they decide to get aggressive and look for an early end, and I like this choice. Fade baited into using the super again, man. Nothing coming up for the Blondie.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a tough moment. I think Motomamis are playing this really well. I think their composition is doing exactly what they want. I think a lot of that is because of Killer and the pressure he can apply. He can just stay back, lob shots over these walls, and now it's a little flip as the blue team's on top, red team's on the bottom. They're still together here. RBM very weak, though. They're going to have to protect for him a little bit here, but they can't give up too much. A teleport in, a takedown there. Toast rotating left, separated from Fade. The pull goes through, the takedown imminent, and the Herbal Tonic should all but finish. Fade, low HP. Luffy still stays alive, and that'll do it here. Round number.
Fade with 32. All right, I won't. Gem grab. Gem for it. That's our third set. This one, we've seen some different stuff. I am probably banning Amber if I am one of these teams, if I'm not choosing to select her off the rip. I think Amber has been impactful in a lot of these games, and this map specifically is calling her name, and there it is. First ban, top ban is the Amber. Worth noting, Meg also gone, as well as some of the usual suspects. No Ash, no B, no Janet, no Max. I don't always mention every ban here, Kenny, but this is pretty much the top of the tier list, so I want to see where everybody else goes. First pick, Penny into an RT response from CMG.
Ooh, and a Jesse as well. Okay. I think this is something worth mentioning, too, that I think has not, kind of flown under my radar this weekend, but it's certainly worth mentioning. One of the new mythic gears coming into play, actually, is this pet rework. Some of these brawlers like Penny, like Jesse, we saw Mr. P earlier, they get a little 20% buff on some of the spawners or their pets, considered those turrets for both of them. So that's been really interesting. I was curious to see how that would play out this weekend. It looks like it's given a little more value than I gave it credit for. So we're going to see Jesse on a control-based kind of Gym Fort map. Those indestructible walls make it way better for all these turrets to get value, so I'm curious to see if anybody tries to counter that, how they get around it. Both these sides are gonna have to deal with that.
Surge selected along across the way, rather. Never disliked this character. I think there's some usage as far as the super is concerned here with respect to wall break and whatnot. Gem Fort has a big old square in the middle. Two of those corners are indestructible for sure, but also Surge is a Surge. Do you have to play differently against Jesse as Sandy is selected? Love to see a little bit more Sandy in the meta, but I peeked this question about Jesse because of the bounce of the basic attack. Is that something you have to take into mind and spread out and play specifically differently against Jesse, or do you just kind of play your own game?
I think you have to take into account a little bit, right? I mean, similar to why people avoid clumping up together when they play a Bell. It's just those bounce shots can get really valuable. Sometimes if Jesse hits one shot, she gets a little bang for a buck, and it could be a little 2 for 1 if there's a teammate next to you. You have to be really careful about it. They're going to have to avoid that, and I think not providing supers to your enemy for both these sides, especially right now, is going to be really crucial. You don't want to give away a Penny turret. On the other side, you don't want to give away a Jesse turret, because if you get it down, you have mid control, you place it on that L wall. It's going to be really tough, and of course, a Sandy super, those things can be lethal. It's a complete momentum shift if Sandy can pop off.
Very, very excited to see all these players kind of coming on in here. Big fan of Sandy. I think that's going to provide a lot of control. Is this the competition to go with her? Honestly, I say yes. I think ultimately the Sandy draft is probably my preferred, but I don't dislike what we see across the way either. And Motomamis are going to be the aggressive ones. Right off the rip, Luffy and Toast stuck here in the mid. Toast turns around, the trade is good. But Luffy and Solar here back. And Motomamis have the lead, 3-1.
Really early gadget pop there from Solar. Needs to be careful because getting tier 2 is very essential. Again, this is all about not giving away supers this game, but we're seeing plenty of aggression. RBM now in the mid 2 as Luffy has control, all the gems in his hands, and Killer throwing down that super. The invisibility really going to be able to help on this map, but RBM gets a surprising takedown, drops a super of his own, but is going to fall as a result. However, CMG's teammates now can move forward and at least try and hunker down in the mid.
Chazmac, yeah, like you said, they've got some mid presence now for sure. Fade lurking in the wings here. Could jump on Killer, but is afraid of the answer back from Luffy as RBM wins over there in left lane. Fade being chased out right side. Wants to be a little sneaky, not thinking about his super just yet. And I think that's going to be a big difference maker as we're tied 6-all.
Got to be careful of that Penny turret too. Toast really receiving some damage from that. Don't want to overly do it. It's kind of just free tags if you're not moving your feet. Killer catching Fade off guard too. Really nice plays and now complete shift. They've got their footing in this mid. Great shots coming in from Toast though. 9th gem being picked up from Luffy. Gonna have to run away for now though and be really careful with this. Salty barrels could be bounced off from Jesse's shots too, and now that turret being deployed. This is getting really scary even though it is just a cute little rubber ducky.
Definitely got to be afraid of the Quacker as Fade turns around and takes care of Killer. Great job there using the little stuff. As Fade gets popped. 10th gem on the way. Either team could take it, but the Sandy super all but confirms it for blue. Luffy gets it and Killer gonna go ahead and zone out. And here comes Fade. There goes Fade. Countdown for Motomamis looks good here. Solar playing defense, but it's Chazmac that steals it away by grabbing the 11th gem.
RBM with a big pickup there too. Luffy trying to move forward. They need 12 gems. It's going to take a kill at this point as only one's on the ground. They're slowly just backing this away though. Jesse turret goes down. Plenty of space to work with. It was a close.
I think we saw the players across the way like, chill, bro. I'm going to grab number 11 and walk away. Chazmac Gaming were not threatened in that situation. I won't say in the slightest, Kenny, but I don't think they were that concerned.
No, I think that's completely fair. I mean, for us too, it's very stressful. I can't do the things that these guys can do. They're pros for a reason. We are just fortunate that we get to sit back, relax, and enjoy in all the chaos that is this game. It's been a great match.
You're relaxed?
So far. I mean, I'm not relaxed. I'm on the edge of my seat, but you know, at some point, I just have to accept that I can't do what these guys can do.
I'm just messing with you, buddy. Much love, Kenny. It's been a great year working with you. And right now, Chazmac certainly working the opponent here. As a little drop of the quacker. And Toast just drops Luffy. 2 gems on the floor, but Chazmac unlikely to pick those up. They've got 6 in hand and lucky number 11 on the floor. So good mid control from Chazmac, but I think this might be a shift as Motomamis are stepping up. Luffy in trouble, dodges the fade jump. And Fade gonna have to play it careful. Still though, blue team in mid.
That was a fantastic salty barrel gadget there. I mean, Luffy able to dodge that Crow Super entirely, and so much control was in Chazmac Gaming's hand, and now all of a sudden Motomamis could really shift this. Penny turret going down, but the invisibility really helping out. Toast tried to keep that thing energized and alive, but couldn't quite do it. And now Killer in a really aggressive stance, preemptively popping this gadget, looking for an opportunity, connects to Fade, missed shot from Luffy, but gets a second. Now with this Penny turret on the ground, they're gonna be able to lob up some serious shots here.
Killer by himself. And Fade wins the duel. 48 HP on the assassin. But it's all well and good. Who's got the gems? Toast falls down with all of the gems. Great positioning, though, by Killer, making sure to push out right, allowing Luffy to go ahead and grab them all. A dozen on the clock. A baker's dozen in the pocket. Solar pushing up. Killer doing so as well. And Motomamis grab game number 2 cleanly. We're going to game 3.
This is, I don't know if that was fair. As somebody who picked CMG, Motomamis are the one that have a grand finals this year. They're the ones that have made it that far. We've seen them hit that peak, and I think we're really starting to maybe doubt them a little too much here. I think they deserve some more love.
Yeah, I mean, you said it earlier that this is a squad that, you know, I think a lot of people kind of count out for no other reason than name recognition. I mean, this, like you said, they won, man, and we're seeing their gameplay for sure. Motomamis do have a game. A little graphical there for the moment as we are in game 3. Luffy trying to play on the right-hand side, but it's Chazmac Gaming. Kind of have mid-control. Solar and Luffy can't get in here by themselves. They need help from Killer, but RBM playing goalie, keeping Killer in base. Nice positioning, aggressive positioning from CMG's RT.
Yeah, the RT gameplay there was awesome to watch. I mean, putting himself and his legs down on one side and goes to the other. That's 2 Jackies on 2 different spots. No way to get around it. Big jump in, though. A lot of action going down the mid, but ultimately resulting in Luffy picking up these 3 low HP, salty barrel on the ground, but needs to watch out because those bounce shots can be catastrophic. Toast dropping the rubber duck once again. Fade cleaning up the rest of these gyms, and now a walk away here as the countdown begins.
Smooth plays here. Gems are split, so a kill on Toast or Fade is good enough. But you got to get there first, and both of these players are all the way in the corner. That be that, Chazmac Gaming gets set number 3. Yeah, it's really interesting how RT can be this long-range sharpshooter or just a zoner. And that sort of dynamic play, the ability to kind of like play 2 different styles, is really what I think allowed Bonnie to see so much play when she was first released. And I think we're going to see, I think RT has a higher skill floor, meaning hard, but I do think we'll see some of the stronger players learn over time how to utilize not just the long-range sharpshooter, which we've seen a lot of, but also maximize that split super as well. And so we'll jump into parallel plays here. And Kenny, strong stuff banned out. No, RT and Meg, the Gray, the Sam, and the Ash are gone on the other side.
Yeah, now Bonnie in the field as well. I think the Penny's a strong pick here too. And once again, I think we're on Jesse watch for this map. It's a brawler that used to show up a lot here, depending on the combination that they run. Could be a real pest too. I think a Penny turret going to go a long way. Bonnie, of course, with the dive that she can have, really gets you across the map quickly. And now she's going to be reunited with her circus sister. The act is back in action.
Like that choice. Not just the Vorthos in me, I do like the lore, but like, you've just got some real oppressive, Luffy can jump in and Killer can fly in, and what are you gonna do about it? Real scary stuff, but it's about how you kind of pair things up. I like the Jesse note. Players are gonna be grouped up on the point. Jesse's gonna punish that type deal, but at the end of the day, Carl is always available. Rarely do I not like Carl, so here we are. And the B, long range damage, honey molasses to control the point when you get it. And should you want to pair Luffy or Killer up with a thick tanky boy, well, B's there as well. So Chazmac Gaming locked in with Penny, Carl, and B. Give me a letter grade, A through F. What is the composition on the right side?
Feels like a pretty strong one. I mean, gotta think it's around that A, right? 3 really strong brawlers, and we could have BB in the mix too. I don't think I would have seen that coming on the report card.
What it do, BB?
BB into a B,
that.
really interesting. And then Salty Barrel for Penny too. I think they actually have ways to kind of address this, but like he said, they've already picked some really oppressive brawlers, right? And that's exactly what BB can be. If you get some good dodges, if you can be a great tank player, which could be any of them playing, but particularly Killer, of course, going to be known for some of the tankier options that he has. I'm curious to see what they can do with this. This certainly isn't a brawler I was expecting to see here on Parallel Plays.
Yeah. This to me is an all-in for Motomami's. BB's either going to be oppressive or oppressed. She's either going to push people around or be pushed away. And I'm not even saying that as a lead. Sometimes I say these things and like, you know, choose your own adventure, but really we all know what's going to happen. Not the case here, man. I'm eager to see, well, okay. Hopefully that's not the tone that BB has all set as we see Carl get the kill right away. Blue team counting up from 20 on their own point, and Chazmac kind of abandoning their point and playing more aggressive.
This could be tough now for Killer. He's somebody that really has to take advantage early, and BB on defense not nearly as valuable as getting to the other side and putting on some pressure. Motomami's trying to cap off their own, and sure, it may look like they have a lead, but positioning is all in CMG's favor. It's all about getting to the other side, which CMG has already touched down on. They're now having to back away, though, as Killer getting really aggressive here. There's one swipe, a couple, and a BB bubble as well. Still gets taken down. Luffy able to clean up a little bit, though, as RBM takes the other side. A little split here on our hands.
Bottom side claimed by Motomami's, and that's what you were talking about, the lead kind of deceptive here, because the other half is much more difficult to achieve than your own. Killer pushing up and, well, doing some damage here against Fade. Throws the super, gets the kill as well. So Killer actually dealing with the 1v2. I say dealing, not succeeding, but gets a lot of point value up there. 69% to 78. And we're stopped, as nobody really on a point that matters.
Yeah, and CMG are going to be able to take advantage for now. They're the ones with the lead. Penny Turret putting down some pressure as a drop the base hits the ground from Solar too. But Penny Turrets can shoot back. They're just playing defense for now. Still plenty of time on the clock left too. We did some big work early on in this matchup. But CMG, if they can just touch down on the other side, they will certainly expand this lead. And that's exactly what RBM looks to be doing right now.
Killer just stuck. And RBM going to send him all the way to the home screen. And here comes Chazmac stepping up, finding themselves on the point. 3 players strong, counting up. And Chazmac Gaming confirm game number 1. Hot zone.
Yeah, great point. Let's try again. You know, on to the next. Not the start that they probably wanted. I'm going to be curious to see if they mix things up, and it looks like they are. They're going to throw Killer on defense here. Maybe instead of being the aggressor, he'll just play goalkeeper, keeping them off of their own, bullying RBM right now on this left-hand side as he pops a gadget and forcing RBM all the way back to spawn, but they still end up winning this. They've now sent 2 brawlers right, only 1 on defense. It did allow for RBM to just slide on over and take advantage.
You got to take those fights. I don't hate that. I think BB absolutely has to just brawl with the Carl. Hopefully you win it, but if you don't, like I said, it's an all-in strat. BB loses, and because of that, RBM's able to walk up like a Sunday drive. More than half HP, getting hit a little bit by the super, but still throwing out that hammer. And RBM does a half, 25% on the opponents, 25% on their own for Chazmac, which is very, very healthy as Luffy goes to the back line and gets shoved out that easily.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. This lead's even more expansive than we think it is because they haven't claimed their own territory. Solar cleaning up his own side, though, as Fade looks to continue the pressure. Luffy trying to help out as well here, but it's tough. Finally going down, but 86% is a lot to work with. They've now capped off their top right-hand home side for CMG2, so the last 14% they need is just awaiting them on Motomamis, but they're going to have to strike back and quickly, too. Again, a lot of time left on the clock, but we got to see some serious offense coming in from Motomamis.
Man, the penny turret is so powerful against slow cannon Bonnie. As the stun woman falls down, Janet takes to the sky, doesn't get the kill against Toast, and now the battle is the way of Toast. And that's all Chazmac needs to confirm the game, the set, and the match. Chazmac Gaming headed to the finals against Tribe.
Yeah, I mean, it's the matchup they probably wanted, right? Obviously, they've been waiting a long time this year to make that grand finals, but now they're going to have an opportunity to prove themselves. They played a close one against Tribe last month. They've had too many 3-2s to count at this point. I'm sure they want in on some action where it counts. Huge point swing for the leaderboards. Motomamis going to drop